What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nate. Today, we are diving into a brand new AI workflow that is going to completely change the way that you think about creating all sorts of different media. We're going to be diving into Higgsfield. Recently on the channel, we've been having a lot of fun with Higgsfield, mostly because it's an all-in-one platform that allows you to use multiple image generation tools, image editing, video generation, audio, all sorts of stuff. So it's pretty much like a one-stop shop if you wanted to be able to access some of the latest and the greatest models. And recently they came out with something called Cinema Studio, which is an all-in-one workflow that allows you to create an image and a video without bouncing between different tools, and you can get to creating as quick as possible. So today we're going to create some scenes, and I'm going to show you exactly how this was made. That way you can determine whether or not this is going to be useful to you in your workflow. And hopefully by the end of this, you're going to feel more confident in being able to use AI with a lot more control and flexibility. I'm super excited. I know you are too. All right, let's go. First tip that I want to give you all when it comes to creating videos is that typically starting off with an image is much more powerful and controllable versus just going straight from a text to a video. And the reason for this is because with an image generation, you can make sure that all the elements that you want are inside of your scene, and then it's just a matter of animating it using image to video generation. Whereas if you just go from text to video, you're kind of leaving a lot of things up to chance there, and it's going to really limit the amount of flexibility that you have. So that's why with Cinema Studio, we're going to be generating an image first, and then we're going to be taking that image and making it into a video. This is what the UI looks like. It's very simple and easy to understand. You can see over here that we have an upload an image as a prompt, or we can describe the scene. Let's first start by creating our image, and I want to create something that's like a techno gritty, almost surveillance aesthetic, just to really contrast some of the highly polished AI generations that people tend to see and disconnect with. So we're going to be maybe even mixing a little bit of Fallout inspiration in here. So for the prompt, I'm going to type in a wide angle landscape shot from a high altitude surveillance drone. And if you're using Chrome, one of the cool things is that you have Gemini built in right here. So if you wanted to get a little bit more of your prompt expanded, you'll see that it is now sharing my screen here. So I can take my initial beginning of the prompt and let's say expand my text prompt to flesh out the details in the scene. Honestly, you don't have to be as descriptive as I was here. You could probably get away with just doing a much simpler prompt, but I like sometimes talking to AI like how I would a person, because I think that's really where it shines. So here we're going to go with a wide angle landscape shot from a high altitude drone. It shows a futuristic, apocalyptic desert nomad wearing tattered clothing and multiple tech objects. Now, the reason why I was so descriptive to just give me the prompt first, because sometimes Gemini will go ahead and actually start using Nano Banana to generate images, but that's not what we want to do, because whenever we're generating images in Gemini itself, we're going to get back that ugly watermark that just says, hey, it's AI generated, and we don't have as much flexibility. Whereas when we're using a tool like Higgsfield, we're given much more control over this generation. So where you can even see here, the aspect ratio is a control that we get, as well as some additional details. So let's go ahead, pop that entire prompt in there in that text box. Now, on the right-hand side, we can see that we're able to select a camera, lens, focal length, and aperture. So if you're someone who loves photography or videography and has used cameras before, you know that having your lens and having your focal length, aperture, all sorts of different settings is really how you get a unique look. So for me, I'm going to go with the tried and true ARRI Alexa 35, and then we're going to go with the ARRI Signature Prime. And for f-stop, I want it to be a very deep focus, so I don't want that shallow depth of field for this one. Instead, we're going to go with something like f11, so super bright day, a lot of focus. And if you are someone who doesn't really know what to use, you can always go over to the recommended sections. You can even save out your favorite setup. So here I'm going to click Save Setup, and now let's go ahead and click Generate and see how this one comes out. Now, by default, you're going to see only one generation is getting created, because at the bottom here, we have the batch size set to 1 of 4, but we could also increase this up to then have 4 generations. That way we can compare and contrast some of the different scenes. We can also adjust the resolution. I'm just going to go with 2K. And then for aspect ratio, I do want it to look cinematic, so we're going to keep it at 16:9. So let's also click generate here so you can start to see this. These generations came back pretty quickly. I think so far these look really great. Probably my favorites have to be between this one here, which has this nice side profile, and then maybe even this one because we have so many details. It looks like he's carrying a helmet. He's very decked out with all sorts of cyberpunk inspired gear. Then we have this city in the background. So it has a lot of really cool things going for it. I can go ahead and click on animate. We can either use this as a start frame or an end frame. I'm going to go ahead and select start frame. And then instantly you're going to see it takes that image. We now have another section for a text prompt. We can also generate either 4 videos based off of this, but for now, I'm just going to set it to 2. And then we can also change the duration, whether there's audio, whether it's slow motion. We can even use preset movements. Let's go ahead and just try something like camera follows. And then we're going to have the character walks from the city towards the desert wasteland. And let's click generate. While that one's generating, you can see that it's in queue. We can also click on the left-hand side, go back to seeing our Desert Nomad Traverse project, which is what it has named it so far. And you'll see that these little buttons pop up where we have reference, so we can use this as a reference image, or we can create multi-shots, which is super cool. It's going to create 9 different cinematic angles in just one generation. We can also do the what's next feature, which is then going to explore the story across different story directions. And we can even do things like traditional inpainting, upscaling, enhancing, changing lighting, the angles, changing the clothing, and a whole lot more. So again, this is why it's been extremely fun to play around with Cinema Studio. Let's try out the new What's Next feature. And here we're going to get another generation then starting up. And let's also click on the multi-shot example. And then let's wait for that to finish up. Now, since those ones are in queue, we can click on the video tab now. And let's take a look at those videos that we generated. I gotta say, that is impressive. I really love the details, the weight, the motion, everything just feels like it's actually tangible. And that's really impressive for a video generation that we're able to do relatively quickly. Now, it is 5 seconds. I really like this glowing liquid. I think this one's cool. Let's take a look at the other video though. Oh yeah, okay, so this one is perfect to me. I don't think it could have been any better. This was exactly what I was imagining. We have this nice parallax going. We have the character being followed by the camera, and all of the audio syncs up perfectly with his footsteps. So I think this is really great. If you just even take a look at like the detail of the helmet, it really does change its angle and look like it's really a helmet and he's carrying it. So this is a very impressive generation so far. So now let's go back into our scene and let's see what it created for the what's next. So in the what's next scenario here, we have 8 shots that were generated. We have the character walking. He sees a drone, it looks like, that's on the ground. And then we also have a version where maybe he sees this giant obelisk with glowing lights coming out of it from in the middle of the desert. Or maybe he's accompanied by multiple warriors, or we can even just do a medium close-up shot. Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff here that I'm seeing from just this one generation. And another really cool and interesting fact about this is that if you take a quick look at the character, you'll notice that a lot of the details are consistent across the board. So we have his helmet with these red lines. We also have these gauntlets that are glowing blue. And we see that in every single scene. So it's really adhering very, very well to the character, to where even this roll-up camping gear set is exactly the same. So the backpack, all those details, that is a really, really tough thing to do. And if we wanted to nitpick even further, you can see that the tattered clothing is tattered in the same exact spot across these different shots. So that's extremely powerful, especially for someone who is trying to make a scene and make a short film and is worried about AI messing up their characters and lacking in that consistency. So these are really great. Let's go ahead and animate them and see how this all plays out. So here we have the other shots, which is this multi-angle view, and all of these look amazing. So let's also make sure to animate these as well. To animate this, it has our same prompt, has the same settings that we had before, but now we can take one of those images, and I'm going to set this as maybe the start frame. So we're going to do maybe a pan up on this character. And then I'm going to click on this, click on the image generations, and let's just go ahead and use these 2 scenes here. So we have a pan up, and maybe we're going to be zooming out as this character walks in this desert wasteland. So I'm going to click generate here for this one. And then going back to some of these generations, let's also animate this one. I think this is pretty awesome. Click on animate. We have this close-up shot. So maybe I think I actually want to swap these two. Let's have the character walking, and then we have this close-up shot with this character. And let's also generate this. Let's go with the car because I think that might be a bit of a challenge for it. So I'm going to go ahead and upscale this first. The cool thing about using Higgsfield again is that you can have things in queue. Some of the benefits is using AI for creation or creative media. A lot of people may slam on AI for not being creative, but really I think the huge benefit of this is that you're able to iterate quickly. And that's honestly such a powerful tool and technique. So here, let's go ahead and have the character runs behind a rock as a vehicle approaches. Traditional media, when you wanted to create something, if I wanted to have an actor then come out and play out all these ideas, there's a little bit of planning and then a little bit of improvising. Whereas it's a lot more restrictive once you get into some of the real world aspects. And if you don't know VFX, you're heavily limited. Whereas using I definitely can see how people are going to be much more empowered to create some amazing scenes, amazing shorts, and have a lot of benefits of being able to iterate quickly. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one. Oh, wow. Okay, this one is awesome. I love that slow camera zoom in where it goes from a wide shot up into a medium close up, and all those very, very subtle details are then retained. Let's also take a look at this one. Here we have the character looking out and just another awesome variation. This is perfect to me. Both of these scenes are really amazing. I can either stick with maybe my drone looking character here with the helmet that he's wearing, or I can have this other one that looks a little bit more rougher where this character or this cyborg is much more somber, much more of a darker tone. Both of these look really cool. So it's really just up to me, or when you're using this tool, it's up to you then to decide what direction you want to take it. You don't have to lock yourself into just one option. You can actually keep going and messing around with this as much as you'd like. So far, to only have roughly 2 generations out of the many that we've done so far, only a few of them being not that good, I think this is really impressive. This one is amazing. So we actually have the character running, crouching behind a rock. Then we have this car just coming into frame here, and that looks amazing. Here we have another variation as well. It starts with 2 cars. That is really cool that we have one of them passing by him. We have another car, and just check out how the lighting actually affects the ground, the dust coming over the character. This is very, very impressive. So as you can imagine, messing around with this tool will allow you to create all sorts of consistent character scenes, a lot of videos, and it's going to be really a collaborative approach. Cinema Studio has the image generation, video generation tools, as well as just different ways to go about iterating. So I think you guys are going to have a whole lot of fun. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of the super dope stuff that is extremely helpful. So far, I think this workflow completely beats out any of the other workflows that we may have shown when it comes to character consistency. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope to catch you in the next one. Until next time, all right, peace.